Alrighty, we are underway. Congratulations, or good luck to everyone who's participating in the community race.
All right, this is going to be fun. I've got 4 streams up in front of me. Let's see how well I can keep track of everything. So just like the previous race, it's a pretty standard floor one. You get out of Ness's room, and we're going to try and find our way off the floor as fast as possible. See what we can do for maybe early stage skip items. Find a shop that has it, or maybe some key items like the pencil eraser, and get them into our inventory.
Alrighty, there we go. Now have Andy, Erythium, and Temple all on stream. This will be impossible to keep up with, but hey.
We'll do our best.
So there's a skip right away that Erythium sees. This is the skip that, since you're approaching this from the backside, from inside the theater, the ticket attendant will just move out of the way. If you approach it from the front side, you have to buy a ticket, which is, I think, $30. But if you approach it from the backside, he'll just move out of your way and you can get through the skip for free, but only in this direction. So Erythium is already into a skip just 2 minutes in, and it's a skip into Mole Cave, which is an interesting room. We didn't see this room in the tournament match, I don't think. Why is this room interesting? It's really large. There's a large number of doors. I think there's 6 doors in this room. There's also a huge number of presents, and there's a exit mouse spot in the middle, so you can pick up new exit mice. However, it's large and it's windy, and it's usually chock full of spawn plates, and you have a really hard time getting around the spawns. So you usually have to end up fighting a lot of enemies here in this room, which can be difficult if they're on a deep floor and they're difficult. Erythium luckily takes down that hard level enemy. I did not see if he used his big bottle rocket to do it or not.
I missed it, but it's some key experience early on that makes it much easier as you get leveled up very quickly. It doesn't take too long to equalize where you're at unless you've done skip upon skip.
Mm-hmm. So as we're doing this race, we're caring probably less about who wins and more about talking to you about some strategies that can be good for your Ancient Cave runs. One of them here is when you first come into a skip like Erythium has, and you're on a deeper level than you're properly leveled for. One of the most important things is when you get into a fight, make sure that you get into a fight with a single enemy. Multiple enemies are way more difficult because it takes more time. They can kill you faster. You usually only have like 1 or 2 good items, like a big bottle rocket, to do a lot of damage. It might seem like fighting 2 enemies should only be twice as hard as fighting 1, but it's actually much harder than twice as hard. So you want to spend a lot of time making sure, spend some extra time despawning to only get 1 enemy if you have to. It's worth it to take the extra time, because if you take a death, instead it's just going to set you way back in your skip. You're going to have characters that are dead. You're going to have to go find a full heal before you can attempt the skip again. Because if you couldn't do it with a full party, you're definitely not doing it with only 1 person alive. Temple's taking that same skip that Erythium did just now.
Yeah, it's right there and it's easy to get to. I imagine most runners will come across it. One thing to keep in mind is if you're new to the game, a lot of chances freeze will most likely work on your enemy. If you don't know what you're doing, go ahead and freeze it and see what happens. If I forget what's going on, when I was first learning EarthBound, freeze it most typically works. I do see a question in the chat though about spoiler files. When you generate a regular seed, there is a spoiler file generated, but for the tournament we throw in a little special flag on there that prevents it from generating, so that way the racers aren't able to get it.
Right, tournament seeds do not have spoiler files generated, and if you just take off the tournament flag, it's actually a different seed. So like the tournament seed for seed number 5 is not the same as the non-tournament seed for seed number 5. So you can't just use the spoiler file for seed number 5. But yeah, if you're just doing this for the first time, definitely take a look at the spoiler file. It's really easy to get lost your first time, uh, not know where you are, or to maybe want to know, like, the spoiler file will also tell you what's in the different chests, so you can see, like, oh, there's a really good item over there. It's worth my way to go out of my way to go do that. So it can definitely be a nice resource. Obviously, if you're commentating a race, it's a pretty valuable thing to have. But also, if you're just running for your first couple of runs, try it out first, but then take a look at the spoiler file and see what you can find. Erythium takes care of that boss. Didn't see what floor it was, but that's pretty big to take care of a boss that quickly. He found a skip at 2 minutes and has beaten the boss of the floor that he skipped onto before 6 minutes. A lot of that was getting all of the levels off of that first fight that he got into. He managed to keep all of his kids alive and still win the fight and get the levels, and those levels gave him what he needed to take down that boss. It looked like one of those bosses that you just need a few freezes to take down. Erythium also at that pond right there, that pond at the upper ledge of Saturn Valley. Those green, pink healing ponds, they cure status effects is what they do in the vanilla game, and in the randomizer as well. One of the status effects they cure is being dead, so they bring your dead characters back to life and fill up their hit points and psychic points. However, if your character is alive, it does not fill up their hit points or psychic points. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're hoping to go to those ponds for a psychic point refill, they don't work for your characters that are alive. The inns, however, of course, work for your hit points and psychic points for your characters that are alive. Erythium coming out into the top floor of the department store. Again, like we talked about during the tournament, he's going to check all of, sorry, not the top floor, but the second floor. Erythium's going to check all of these stores for skip items, and if he finds a skip sandwich, that's a skip granting item. So he's going to go ahead and pick one up, just in case we stumble across that monkey. Temple also beats that boss. I have the spoiler file for this. We might as well take a look at it. The department store is floor 6, so Erythium... Oh, sorry, Temple was not... That was not the boss. So this is a floor 5 boss for the Hieroglyph. The Hieroglyph isn't the easiest boss in the world. It does take a few freezes to take it down, and it can do some damage. But it takes a lot of turns off of attacking. So it's generally a pretty easy boss for floor 5. Floor 5 could be Nessa's Nightmare, so... See Hieroglyph on 5 instead? I'll take that.
I'll take that any day. Throw Hypnosis at it, freeze it to death, good to go.
And Temple is through, and he will also be through to floor 6. And Andy's right there as well, so Andy also took that skip. All of our runners on screen, all at about the same position. Make sure Andy gets through this boss, but he has enough psychic points that I don't think it'll be a problem unless he gets a few unlucky attacks.
There is a hint guy on Temple side. Too bad he's trapped in a tube and not actually a hint.
Yeah, it's not a real hint guy. The 5 hint guy locations are the actual hint guy locations in the vanilla game, not anyone whose sprite happened to get randomized to the hint guy. As you can see, obviously, the sprites have been visually randomized. There's not normally a tiny puppy in front of this hot spring. But that's just purely cosmetic. You want the locations where the actual hitmen are in the actual game. There's one in Fourside, in the field that we saw. There's one in Summers. There's one in Scaraba by the pyramids. And then there are 2 that are in their own little rooms that you might just stumble across. Andy wants the hitman, but he's in the tube. I'm sorry, Andy. Doesn't work that way. Bull finds the boss for this floor, and Erythium may have already. He's in that fight that looks like it may be... Oh no, that was just a random enemy. A tough random enemy, though, those fire plugs.
Yeah, when you see those fires, you start to wonder which side of floors you're on, whether you're at the moon side enemies or if you're at the fire spring end.
Clumsy robot for our floor 6 boss. Erythium takes a skip, so he's somewhere else now. Oh, this is actually pretty important here. So let's look at Erythium. He is in Happy Happy Village, so this is something that didn't come up in the tournament seed. But the free shop at Happy Happy Village is still free, but since it's a shop, its contents have been randomized. So there could be anything here. Let's see what's here today. T-Rex Bat, Platinum Bands. So Platinum Bands are going to be good for selling, so those will sell for about 2,000 bucks each. So if he finds a different shop that has stuff he wants to buy, that can be really big. You can get a lot better stuff here at the free shop. There could be multi-bottle rockets, there could be super bombs, there could be horns of life. Those are what you really want to see. Okay is really expensive stuff like this, like platinum bands that are okay for defense and okay for selling. And then sometimes you get garbage. But, you know, that's just how it goes. So just an okay free shop today.
Hey, it's free. Can't complain too much if it's free. But there is a moonbeam gun that Erythium just picked up. That's a pretty nice find already.
Yeah, it's all right. Certainly when Jeff starts with no weapon, going from 33 offense to 143. It's all right. Andy, did he not beat the clumsy robot there? I'm surprised. As you can see what Temple's done, he's paralyzed the clumsy robot, and the clumsy robot only has physical attacks. So if you paralyze it, it can't do anything. However, he's only doing 1 damage at a time. I'm going to switch to someone else's audio because that hurts.
Yeah, unfortunately, depending on the HP, you're just going to be doing 1 HP of attack for however long it attacks if you don't have any other type of equipment. So that's something you got to kind of keep in mind as a time sink against the clumsy.
Joyce, the sudden guts pills, those are not the guts capsules. Sudden guts pills are only usable in battle, and they put your guts up to a very high level for the 1 battle only. Which can be good for critical attacks and for gut saves. So, you know, you certainly could load up on them, but most runners will feel that that takes too much time to use those gut capsules. Although I do see some people do use them on Ness and Gygus Phase 1 to get off the smash attacks to make Ness more useful in Phase 1 of Gygus. But I would say 95% of people don't bother with guts capsules. Or sorry, sudden guts pills.
Yeah, the amount of time and the situational context of it, it's just better to rely on what you know in most cases and spend that time dealing out damage instead of turning a turn for a stat.
I am curious how long this 1 damage at a time fight is going to take Temple. I have no idea how many hit points this thing has, but it's definitely in the many hundreds. He'll be at that a while. I think maybe Andy ended up in the same situation and realized how long it was going to take and just reset out of that battle.
Yeah, that is something to note. Doing a hard reset is a valid strategy in this game. As long as you remember to save fairly recently, you are free to hard reset without penalty, unlike the typical single segment runs that you would submit to the EarthBound leaderboard. So if you're in a situation that you don't like, go ahead, reset, and get yourself into a better situation.
Yep, you're free to reset. Other than that, our races do go by the normal glitchless rule set, so we don't allow for any of the walk-through wall stuff or breaking through areas where you're not supposed to be able to walk through, or for the rock candy duplication glitch or things like that.
If you do break the walls, you kind of break the randomizer and the game gets mad at you. Just don't do it.
Interesting, Erythium has backtracked off of that skip that he was onto Happy Happy Village where the free shop was. That was floor 9. May have taken a death because I saw that he had to revive all of his character members, so you may be going back there now.
Oh, okay. And this could be a good spot if you didn't do it already to sell off a whole bunch of platinum bands if you picked up extras.
That's true. He is back at the shop. He could have gone down to the first floor and sold all those platinum bands as we were talking about at the first floor of the department shop is the quickest place in the game to sell, and if you bought a whole bunch of things to sell, then there you go. You got into a weird situation where Pooh was way behind the other characters and managed to get the sneak attack on those guys. Man, there's spawns everywhere. That's a rough room right there.
All right, yeah, there he goes. Back on to
Back into the skip.
floor 9, I believe.
All right, so
I have to admire Temple's dedication here. He's still going.
I'm not sure if admire is correct, but he's committed now. All right, so Erythium taking advantage of, we discussed that skip into a skip is the fastest way to get to floor 9. It's the most risky, it's the most dangerous, but it's definitely the fastest. And he has gotten himself to floor 9, so he doesn't even have to worry if we have a really dangerous enemy on floor 8. We're past it. All we have to worry about now is if floor 9 has enough good stuff for us that we can actually beat Gygas or not.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like Andy's in the same area. If he takes that door to the left, he'll be able to skip on the floor 9 as well.
Yep. Good. Meanwhile, Simple is just committed to this clumsy robot.
Told you, I admire the determination.
Star Pennant for Erythium, so at least one Star Pennant hero on floor 9. That's huge. It makes things infinitely doable. I've seen people... You can take on Gygas without Star Pendants or Sea Pendants, but boy, is it harder and riskier, and you gotta have some luck going your way. Andy is going for the robot. Let's see what he does here. He's going for the Paralyze. Sudden Guts Pill on Paula. So here's that Sudden Guts Pill that we were talking about. He's doing it to hopefully get some smash attacks off with Paula. Paralysis not playing along right now. Well, it would be hilarious if he gets through this fight faster than Temple does.
And that because of all the... How much does that smash even do? I didn't see that tech.
I mean, I think he will. He's even without smashing, he's doing 21 a time. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets through this faster than Temple did. I am going to switch our audio. It'll be done faster, but I still don't want to hear this all day.
Well, two out of the 3 rays or that you have on screen are doing that. We could always flip over to Thomas at some point. He's not doing that right now.
Yeah. That's fine. Erythium is examining floor 9, so there's lots of interesting things to check out here. Cloak of Kings. Some defense and some... I believe that's the speed one for Pooh. I could be wrong. I always forget which cloak or which of King's equipments do what. Briars, this is the EarthBound randomizer. It's available at earthbound.app. We're watching a community race of the Ancient Cave mode. So for him and for anyone else who tuned in since my explanation at the beginning of the stream, in Ancient Cave mode, we've ripped apart all the rooms of EarthBound. We've taken out all of the story elements. And we've recombined them into a 9-floor maze. There's a shiny spot at the end of the first 8 floors, and Gygas is at the end of the 9th floor. All you have to do is walk to Gygas and beat him. It's that simple. Along the way, the enemies are randomized, the presents are randomized, your character's stat growth is randomized, which character has prey is randomized. There's all sorts of fun things. And there is Gygas for Erythium at 18 minutes and 45 seconds. That's fast.
Let's see if he goes for it. I hope he kind of does it depending on what he has.
He has 1 Star Pendant. Yeah, he's going to set down the exit mouse and go look for some more goodies. He would be...
that's actually in a fairly accessible area. Oh, there's a Sea Pendant. A fairly accessible area, too, in the Oned area. Lots of choices to go.
All right, well, looking for more goodies has paid off immediately as we find a Sea Pendant. That's the second very good pendant for Erythium. Andy in an annoying fight with these mooks. Airframe, do you have a link for the EarthBound speedrunning Discord for chat?
Yeah, let me go grab.
As we discussed earlier in the EarthBound speedrunning Discord, we do have a discussion channel for the randomizer. People talk about their strategies, get races going, all sorts of things. Temple finally threw that fight. Woo! We did it, boys. We got through that fight. One hit point at a time. Good work, Temple. And Andy did, in fact, get through that fight earlier after getting into the fight and resetting, going for a different strategy. So now you know for the future. You're doing 1 damage at a time to Clumsy Robot. Maybe go look for something else first. So I believe that puts Temple and Andy both on 7. Erythium's on 9. And he has 2 good pendants. I mean, it's not impossible that he could go for it now. I don't know if Paula has learned Psi Shield Sigma yet.
Yeah, that was about the question I was going to ask. Do we know who our prey character is yet?
I have not seen a battle close enough to see. It does make a difference. It's actually kind of handy when Pooh is your prey character, because then your prey character has a life up spell on them. And as we saw
Paula, I think.
Oh, Paula this time. As we saw in the race, having the life up character on Pooh, it does mean you have to take a turn off from praying in order to do the life up, but it means that with only 1 pendant, both your prey character and a healing character is protected. So there's upsides and there's downsides, but usually it's more upside, I feel like, to have the prey character on Pooh.
One of the vanilla things that happens in the game is if you equip a non of King's item on Pooh, his defense will drop all the ways down. But that's okay because you're really only dealing with psychic attacks in the Gygas fight, so that's not really a big concern there.
Right, the only attack that matters in the Gygas fight for your actual defense stat is if Pokey charges at you. And it probably doesn't matter what your defense is, he's doing lethal to you. The Moondog, this is just a community race. The tournament finished up a little earlier today. Andy Perfect was our winner. So since we had a little bit of extra time, we're just doing a fun community race. Although not so fun for Andy right now with Dead and Diamondized party fighting that fight that ends so many runs in EarthBound Glitchless. The department store enemies. By the way, the reason he's heading down in this room is the barricades at Onett are up, so this area of South Onett is only a 2-door room. The door to that Exit Mouse house, and then the south entrance to Tucson.
Erythium in a bad situation. They're just choosing to do that hard reset strategy. I think he found a phone recently. I don't remember the last time he saved, but he knows where everything is at this.
Right. Well, of course. I mean, he is in that situation that we've talked about, where he is. He skipped into floor 9 off of a skip of a skip, so he's on floor 9. Very underleveled.
Face full of diamond. Face full of diamonds, and here we go again.
That's not really what you want to be seeing.
Fortunately, you got a first turn run. That was really nice of the game.
So what else is Erythium looking for? Probably some levels.
Maybe. I haven't seen how our stats are this time. How are they looking? Are they already higher than last?
A third good pendant, star pendant there. He has 3 good pendants. Stats, maybe a little higher than last time. Nothing extraordinary, I don't think. I haven't seen someone in a good situation recently, really. Oh, there's a full heal for Temple. So Temple's party is full healed, so take a look at his stats.
Yeah, I
when he
almost
gets
think
into a
it's like
fight.
where they were at the end of the last race. Yeah, the Paula has 212. That's definitely a better situation for the Prey character. 182 on pool. Yeah, we're in a better stat situation this time around.
212 is better. Anything less than 150, you are in danger of dying to one single lightning, and that's no good. Above 200, you have a good chance of surviving two lightnings. I don't know about good chance. Above 250, you have a good chance of surviving two lightnings. Above 200, you certainly have a chance.
Just will away the lightnings. That's the better strategy.
Oh,
Will it away.
yeah. The good strategy is to win a bunch of die rolls and never take any damage just off of luck. That's the best strategy. But just in case that doesn't work for you.
Sometimes it's the only strategy.
It's one of those facts of life about RPG randomizer. There's luck involved.
Chaz, got a question for you. I don't think we covered this yet. Is it possible for this to generate a cave that is unbeatable?
Um, I believe for many months we have been in a situation where we have never had an unbeatable cave. There's a fair bit of logic in place to try and make sure that does not happen, and it's probably been over a year since I've had a bug report of a cave that could not be beaten. So I feel fairly comfortable we're in a state where any cave can be beaten.
We've got Shroom here on Temple's side. I don't even remember what floor he's on at this point, to be honest.
I believe they were on floor 7, so check my spoiler. Yes, Shroom is the boss of floor 7, so Temple has found the boss. Andy, every time I look at Andy, it's just he's got 2 people dead and 1 person diamondized, and he's just trudging through a million spawns. And games decide, all right, you've won the tournament, now it's time to be mean to you.
To be fair, he was in this position a lot last race too. Just not Diamond Eyes, just 3 dead.
Nice green swirl there. But unfortunately, that is the scripted enemy that you cannot run from. So instead, he's just going to have to auto fight, and Ness is crying, so he's probably not going to hit. And these things call for help, so he's probably going to have to auto fight until he loses this battle. And these things only attack and do damage like once every 10 turns or something. This is the worst situation when you're in a fight with one of these things. Oh, and they're only doing 1 damage to him? Oh no.
We've got a Temple situation going on here, except in reverse.
And he's probably in a situation where he can't reset, because if you die, he is
Never
going to
mind.
reset. If you reset, you lose all the experience since the last time you saved, whereas if you die, you keep that experience. And of course, any items you picked up and anything like that. You just have the downside of only Ness being alive. If you reset, you lose all of those things. So
Oh, he respawned real close to where he reset. Okay, right back to where we.
right, but he had taken some fights and a death since then, because now Jeff is the one alive.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
So I think he had made some progress there that he lost with that reset, but he was just going to waste so much time trying to beat those enemies, not being able to, and taking 1 damage at a time from 101 hit points until he finally died.
I just realized Jeff is Paula.
Oh yes, yeah, Jeff is Paula. Yeah, I believe both Andy and Erythium chose random sprites. I think all 3 of our runners chose random sprites. And it just randomly assigned Jeff's sprite to Paula. And Ness's pajama sprite to Jeff. Why not? That's not confusing for your commentators.
No, not at all. Nothing like a face full of mushrooms and confusion, right?
Yeah, 2 mushrooms over on Temple's side. In case you're not familiar with the mushrooms in EarthBound, in addition to confusing the character, meaning about 50% of their attacks will attack the wrong target, it also, after a while, changes the directions on your controller. Rotates them by 90 degrees every minute or 2. So that's fun. Nipple may be playing with
Yeah.
his controller upside down right now.
And then when you go back in the battle, you got to flip it right side up and then flip it back upside down, and it remembers where it was. And if you get mushroomed later on, the timer picks up from where it left off.
Yep. So if you ever see him about to encounter an enemy and then take a weird turn and get a red swirl, it's probably because his controls switched on him at just the wrong time. So floor 7, well, I guess Tipple's on floor 8, Andy's still on floor 7, both being pretty tough to our runners. Erythium on floor 9, also rough, but maybe a little easier. He might be having the easiest time of all three of them right now. Oh, he
Yeah,
found a
he's been pretty
multi-bottle rocket
fortunate.
emitter.
Oh, jeez.
So Erythium's
He's
loaded
been
up on
pretty fortunate
multi-bottle
to find
rockets.
key items in it.
Mhm. So as we talked earlier, those big bottle rockets are 5 bottle rockets in one. Multi-bottle rockets are 20 bottle rockets in one. Whether one hits depends on Jeff's speed versus the enemy's speed. But if a bunch of them hit, that can easily be thousands of damage and instantly wipe out any non-boss characters. The Mr. Saturn in a bucket there is a free status effect cure. So that's the same thing as these pawns that Andy is in right now. Now, the Tinder Village that Andy is in addition to the pond right here that has the status effect healing, including death, you can also talk to this person right here that Andy is talking to for a free in. So this is technically a free full heal in this room. You just first have to go to the pond to resurrect your dead characters, and then go to the end to get the HP and psychic points up for any character who was alive. So it's a slow full heal, but full heal. While navigating the blue room, we did get rid of all of the people that are in your way, just to clarify that you can always walk through this room.
So while we wait for some more action to happen here, I want to pick your mind as the developer of this, Chaz.
Sure.
As you sit here and watch the tournament go on, what are some things that you look for when you potentially tweak the logic later on based on maybe too fast completion times or too long completion times? What do you look?
Well, less than what I'm looking for in runs. I'm more trying to gauge both the attitude of the community and also how much fun people are having while they're playing it. Um, and basically trying to optimize for a good gameplay experience. So, how long things take only plays into that, in that if things run too long, it can be not a lot of fun, or if things go too short, it can be not a lot of fun. So, it's really the fun that I'm looking for more than the time, anything else. And that's related to time, but it's not exactly the same thing.
Right. Okay. So you're looking for more of a quality of life experience for people like me to have a good time
Mm-hmm.
and find Electrospectre on floor 8 instead of Carbon Dog most of the time.
Well, you do. You only find Carbon Dog in 26% of seats. 74% of the time, there is no dog. I have done the math.
We went for the longest time in this tournament series without Carbon Dog. For those of you unfamiliar, Carbon Dog, Diamond Dog is bosses back to back, and it can be quite difficult without the vanilla multi-bottle rocket strategy that you could use in the vanilla game.
Right. Most Earthbound runners who run the vanilla game just normally know, oh, it's Carbon Dog, I'll throw some multi-bottle rockets at it, and since I have the Rabbit's Foot, it'll do a ton of damage. You may not have multi-bottle rockets, you may not have the Rabbit's Foot here in Randomizer, and it makes Carbon Dog, Diamond Dog way more difficult.
I will say this: I love this as a randomizer because it ideally forces you to become more familiar with more components of the game instead of the same exact route every time. You get a more intimate experience of knowledge on how to deal with enemies in different situations, different item layouts and load ups, and just general adaptation to it.
Mm-hmm. I guess most people would not know that one of the best strategies for dealing with Diamond Dog, if you are underleveled, is to confuse him so that he has the chance of biting himself and diamondizing himself and letting you win that battle at a very low level.
We had that pulled off what once in this tournament.
We had even better than that. We had, instead of Diamond Dog confusing himself, we had Jeff, who had Mirror in that ability in that tournament. We've
Oh yes.
upgraded the Mirror success rate because Mirror is a special ability for what's Pooh in the normal game to let him turn into the opposing enemy, but almost no one uses it because the success rate on it is so low. So we bumped up the success rate in general on it throughout the randomizer to make it more useful. And Jeff had the mirror in this particular seed and mirrored Diamond Dog, and so Jeff bit Diamond Dog and Diamondized.
That was a great moment.
In the vanilla game, you can't do that because Mirror has 0% success rate against Diamond Dog. But you can, in the vanilla game, confuse Diamond Dog through a prayer, which confuses everyone, or through Brain Shock, I believe. Still works in the vanilla game against Diamond Dog. And if he's confused, he can bite and Diamondize himself.
You also got the obscure strategy of equipping Pooh with an item that lowers his defense, and then having Carbon Diamond Dog lower his defense even more, spinning it around to 255 up, and then using what was it, a power shield to reflect damage back or something like that in a situation.
Yeah, that's a
Trying to
really
remember the
weird
full
one.
details. It's
I,
really abstract but funny.
I would never suggest that as a strategy to someone. It's a little too difficult. Andy finally coming across Shrew and the boss of floor 7. Yeah, 7 and 8 being really rough for Andy and Temple. I haven't seen a lot of progress from any of our runners in the last 10 minutes or so. They all leapt out to good spots deep in the floor, or deep in the cave, and have just kind of been stuck there for a bit as they're trying to find some equipment, find some levels. Erythium, obviously in the best situation. He's on floor 9. He knows where Gygas is. He has an exit mouse set there. He has 2 pendants. He could go for it. But it would be pretty risky at this point.
Yeah, he must be still looking for levels. Do we know if Paula got the Sigma shield yet?
I do not know that. No, that's a rough situation. He used a multi-bottle rocket on that conducting spirit, but it was not enough damage, and those conducting spirits do lightning attacks. They're going to hit your party, because lightning always hits a full party. They're going to do a ton of damage because you don't have any way to defend against them if you don't have Franklin badges, and they take a long time, so they, even with the instant text speed, it takes a long time to go through all the animations of all of that. So you end up getting party members dying that wouldn't otherwise die. It's one of the most annoying enemies to come across late on floor 9. Meanwhile, the quaint mantle, the soul-consuming flame, again, very low defense, very susceptible to freeze. One of the easiest enemies on floor 9.
Temple came out a specific door. It's the story trigger that triggers the phone call from Tony to set your name. That's the normal location you would set the name, and if you don't, as you saw in the last seed, Chaz added a spot for you to put it in at the Gygas store if you happen to find that first.
While everyone seems a little stuck, I'm going to poke in on Thomas, our 4th racer, and see if I can see where he is. Oh, Thomas has just taken down the floor 8 boss, so he has just now gotten onto floor 9.
Yep.
So he would be, I suppose, in 2nd place, then behind Erythium, if you were going to give rankings to where people are right now.
Yeah, the funny thing is Thomas didn't quite skip into a deep floor. It looks like he started at floor 5 based on his splits on his screen and worked his way up from 5 to 9 now.
Oh, wow. So he probably got a skip off of 1 to 5. So a deep skip as you can get there, but then didn't get any skips after that.
Yeah. I'm not too sure if he didn't have items or just chose to go floor by floor.
So floor 7 and 8 must have treated him a lot nicer than they treated Temple and Andy. So we saw them struggling. Yeah, presumably did not take down Clumsy Robot one hit point at a time.
No. And nope, on Temple's side, you saw him get a red swirl by an unfortunate turn. It looks like his controls randomized at the wrong.
Yep, that's always the risk when you carry around a mushroom that long. Andy back for another whack at Shroom. Needs to get on to floor 8. Been stuck on 7 for way too long, I'm sure he feels. It's been brutal. It's the deaths and the spawns and the things worse than deaths when you get into those battles with the enemies that you can't run from and also won't kill you. You can't kill. Trying to despawn the enemies to get up to the items up there. Up, or to get down there, I suppose. What is Erythium looking for, I think? Just hoping to come across the heavy bazooka. Oh, he has the heavy bazooka.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what he's looking for at this point. Either that or if he's just trying to grind.
I mean,
Or
this
maybe
is not a
stock
good
up
fight to be
on.
grinding on.
No, so I'm not sure to be honest.
Yeah, to be grinding, there are some enemies on floor 9 that are good to grind on. Obviously, the caterpillars that are famous for grinding in the vanilla game would be ideal. Even though they're randomized, they may not have great psychic point or great experience points. They still usually have decent experience points. And then there are some Starmen that are really easy to kill. Those can be good to grind. But the problem is there are some Starmen that are not easy to kill at all, and instead fire off Starstorm Omega on you and wipe your party. But yeah, when you get into these fights with these spirits like this, you can get into the situation where Erythium just got right here, where he ended up taking a party wipe. Now he's going to have to go resurrect his party members again.
Looks like Temple finally got rid of those mushrooms at a sanctuary heal, which is one of the few ways you can get rid of that status. The other one is if you find the mushroom girl who'll buy him, or a heal.
Yep. Andy on for his, what, 4th attempt at Shroom here? Giving him some real
I've
trouble.
lost. I've honestly lost count.
Well, here's the other thing. It's like our hit points are maybe a little better than a previous seed, but our psychic points are much worse. Yeah,
That's
I
something.
believe he's been running out of freezes has been part of the problem. So it's always interesting when you get a seed. Is this seed going to be the seed where you just have psychic points for days to throw around, or where they're going to be really limited and you have to really ration them out? Gygus fights can get really interesting when you have low psychic points.
Yeah, because you can't necessarily bash your way through it in some circumstances unless you get some of the top tier weapons with the appropriate stats to have the muscle behind it at the.
And he finally takes down Shroom and be on to floor 8, joining Temple. Well, Erythium's still plotting around floor 9 for something. He's trying to find a good grinding spot. He does seem to be trying to pull that. Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. I saw him intentionally try and pull that single flame away from the other one.
Ooh,
So yes, I believe he
that
is
is
grinding.
not one of the enemies I would choose. Ooh.
Well, with that flame sprite, you can't tell whether it's going to be this guy or that soul-consuming flame, which is a really easy enemy to grind against. Fortunately, a lot of
That
enemies have identical overworld sprites.
that and it's also hard to tell between that and the upgraded version of that particular enemy too. I have a hard time.
Yep, so that's what Erythium's doing. He's going back and forth in this area looking for single enemies that he can grind against to get his stats better for this Gygas fight. He's not confident that he can take it down with his current situation. He has 3 good pendants, but he um, does not have a Franklin badge, or any great way of dealing damage, it doesn't seem like. Especially with the low psychic points, that means he doesn't have a great way of doing damage to Gygas, so he might be in Gygas for a long time. Dana has a question about how long these runs usually take. Of course, it's going to depend on experience. I would say in the tournament, so for our most experienced runners here in the tournament, most seeds were done somewhere in the 40 minutes to an hour range.
I actually have the statistics for that
Oh, great.
pulled up here. Yeah. So the average for the runners, the lowest runners to the top started at 59 minutes, an hour and 1, hour and 9, hour and 9, hour 10. The highest being at an hour and 47, and that's the average across 6 races, dropping 2 of the work.
I would say for your first run, a lot of people don't even manage to finish their first run, and that's not unusual. And that you're learning a lot of how just the cave works. If you're doing a no skip run, which you'll often do for your first run, no skip runs obviously take a lot longer. It's 2 hours would be a sub 2 hour time would be a very good time for a no skip run. For people's first runs, I often see like 3, 4, or 5 hours. It's going to somewhat depend on their experience with vanilla Earthbound as well. Of course,
I would even say 6 hours if you're taking your time. That's no shame in that either. That's a good time if it's your first time with no experience.
right. Well, I would say a lot of people play the randomizer not timing it at all. They'll just play for a session and put it down and pick up another day. I see a lot of people even streaming on Twitch. They're just playing the randomizer casually, and they're not trying to speed through it. It can be a perfectly fun experience just to play without a timer. Just try and walk to and beat Gygas on your own time over a few days.
So, Thomas, another person in the community race here, not on screen right now, just found the Gygas door and is asking with his character name, did Andy win yet?
Andy's not even on floor 9, buddy.
And ooh, there's the red caterpillars in the Gygas room for him too.
Oh,
It,
yeah.
it looks like Thomas is going for it if you want to pull him on.
Yeah. I'm going to get him on stream. Let's get Thomas. Erythium's going for it as well. This could be fun. Let's get Thomas on here real fast. Sec as I reconfigure things.
And this time, Gygas is a doggo. 2-pop. So it looks like Erythium here is opening up the fairly standard procedure, getting Rock and Alpha here. Got the shield off. Let's see if Paralysis sticks on Pokey. And yes, it is going to stick on Pokey this time. So he's just going to have to potentially life up Ness and just get his way through the first phase, counting the number of attacks that come his way. Make sure he doesn't drop the shield. Paul is at a pretty low level here, or sorry, low on psychic points. So something that will have to be done is either giving her an item to up the PP if the first round goes long, or using PSI Magnet to pull in as much psychic points as she can to keep the shield up. Let's see what Erythium's going to do. looks like we got Thomas up here on the screen now too. They're literally neck and Jeff took mortal damage, but got off a multi-bottle rocket, and the heal got off in time. Thank you, Instantaneous Text, for that. Thomas must have picked up a speed item at some point for some consistent hitting here on the multi-bottle rockets, which is definitely going to help. And Thomas is out of phase 1 already.
All right, good job.
That's one of the benefits of going through floor for floor. You might find an item that helps you get through this a lot quicker. And I'm gonna think he either got a Crystal Charm or a Rabbit's Foot on Jeff right now.
Oh, and the leftover freeze from phase 1 solidifies Gygas, so his turn 1 of Gygas phase 2, Gygas isn't going to get any actions off. He's got a whole load of super bombs. Oh, and there's phase 2 done in 1 turn.
Wow, well done. Unfortunately, Erythium taking a reset. Looks like the situation didn't pan out there. Did the shield run out, or did something happen?
Sorry, I didn't see it. I was too excited about that one turn phase 2. So, situation here. Paula is our prey character, and Paula has 358 hit points. Thomas is way higher level than the other players. Is that what's going on here?
He might be. Just looking at these HP values, just going through floor by floor has just made him like super buff for this final part.
Oh, and he's got Franklin badges too. Oh man, we should have been watching Thomas. I don't know what he did. I don't know whether he found a really good grinding spot or if just the floor by floor progression gave him so much XP. But yeah, it's definitely Paul 358. Well, Erythium gets in this fight. I want to compare and see.
There was a Franklin badge on the way to the floor 8 boss in that cave room. So since some of them didn't come through that, not all of them will have that Franklin badge that was in that room.
Oh, interesting. So since Andy and
an Auto Store Master.
Nice. So Andy and Temple will probably pick those up because they're both on floor 8, but Erythium skipped on to floor 9, did not get that.
And a Sea Pendant. That room was stacked.
Oh no, Paula for Erythium has 320 HP, so she must have just gotten... of course, Erythium's been a long time leveling, after skipping on to floor 9, and yet Thomas is a higher level. So I don't know whether he found a better leveling spot or if things just naturally progressed better for him.
Yeah, I wonder how much of some of those hard resets played into setting back the progress we saw grinding.
So if it is the situation that Paula has a good pendant and a Franklin badge on, and 366 life, then Thomas basically can't lose at this point.
Yeah, the only thing that can happen is many turns in a row if Paula were to be frozen.
Yes, getting frozen and taking nine damage a pop. What, 40 times? That seems more than a little unlikely.
Yeah. And with Pooh alive, there's still a healer too. And
it would take way more than 40 times.
Too.
Yeah, yeah. Thomas was on to prayer 8, so this will be wrapped up, and it looks like he will have won. Is Andy forfeiting? He's not moving right now. It doesn't look like.
Not yet.
Okay. You might have had something come up.
Yeah.
We'll watch Thomas here.
All right.
Prayer 9. And there it is. 54-20 for
Officials.
Thomas. Our third place winner of the tournament, winner of the tournament is our winner of tonight's community race. Congratulations to Thomas.
The grudge match against Andy and Temple, both at once. Official speed racing time of 54 minutes and 24 seconds.
Excellent work. So yeah, it's one of those things where you don't necessarily need a skip. You gotta skip from 1 to 5. But then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, he just went right through. Um, yeah, I'm interested. I might have to go back and watch his VOD to see, because 7 and 8 were so rough on Andy and Temple. But Thomas seemed to get through them. And of course, 9 was rough
Yeah,
for Erythium, having skipped into it without the preparation.
it could have just as been as having those levels being properly leveled going to those floors.
Erythium is on to phase 2 of Gygas now.
I will say this: I am peering in at the mod view on the speed racing page. Andy is really lost right now.
Oh, is that what's happened?
Yeah, Andy is extremely lost right now. Oh, sorry, Andy.
Well, that's the thing, these mazes that get generated by this randomizer are not easy. There are loops. There's a lot of rooms that look similar. It can be really easy to get lost. I would say your first couple of seeds, expect to get lost a few times. And that's why I think you should probably keep the spoiler handy for if you do get lost, just so you don't feel like you have to throw away, the couple of hours of work you put into it. But you can get just a little helping hand to help you finish out the seed. Erythium makes it on to phase 3.
Andy walking into Tucson. I don't think he's happy. He's not happy seeing Tucson at this
Well,
point.
no, if you're
Tucson is the largest area.
if you're completely lost and then you wander into Tucson, that's not a great feeling. 19 doors. Let's see quickly if I can get a timer up from someone else.
Andy's found his way into. It looks like back to the end of floor 8 here. Erythium's into phase 3 of Gygas. And Temple's still wandering around some areas that he's been across already. No chickens freed on Thomas's side, and 0L, no problems here. No Neil Patrick Harris's this round for Thomas.
No chickens, Thomas.
Chickens freed. It's I consider it a bit of the meme. Chaz tells me it's mandatory when I don't free a chicken. If you get a chicken in your inventory, you can use it and you let it go. And throwing it at the final boss does not count as letting it go.
It does not. Throwing a chicken into Gygas's face is not the same as freeing it in the slightest.
Potato, potato, tomato. What's the difference?
They're very different. Erythium phase 3 looking solid so far. Don't know if he managed to get off the confuse on Gygas before Pooh died.
Andy has forfeited this seed. So he is out of this race.
Alright, fair enough. There's only so much confusion you can take. He did an excellent job taking down the tournament. And, it's alright to not do so hot in the cooldown tournament and the cooldown match. We'll probably watch Erythium finish out this Gygas fight and then sign off.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan at this point, unless Temple stump forward a little quicker here.
Let's see Thomas's player name. We didn't see him put it in. Oh yes, did Andy win yet? Nope. Not today. Not in the fun seed. That's all yours, Thomas. Here's prayer number 9 for Erythium, and that's time for Erythium.
Official speed racing time of 1 hour and 6 seconds.
All right. Well, thanks to Thomas, Erythium, Andy, and Temple for all participating in this fun little community race. For the extra time we had allotted for this uh, time here on the RPG Limit Break. It was a fun race to watch. Thanks to RPG Limit Break for hosting our tournament finale.
I want to thank everyone who participated in the tournament and put up with me organizing the tournament and having Chaz support me the entire way. It was great. I thank the community greatly for everyone who was involved, and once again, thank you to RPG Limit Break for letting us host the finales here. It was a great time throughout the entire series.
Yep, and thanks once again to you for hosting the tournament. It was great fun. Again, EarthBound.app is where you can find this randomizer. The EarthBound Speedrunning Discord is the place to discuss it. And I suppose we'll see you all again next year for the EarthBound Ancient Cave Tournament 2021. Have a good night.
Have a good night. See you next time.